Have you ever noticed how in American politics, the word socialism gets thrown around like a hot potato? One minute you're talking about healthcare, the next, someone's screaming about Venezuela. It's a powerful word, a political buzzsaw that can cut down any debate before it even starts. What do we really mean by socialism, and why does it pack such a punch in politics? Let's dive into this heavy term and see how it can shut down chats and create some real fear, okay? Let's start by clearing up some common misconceptions. The biggest one is conflating socialism with dictatorships and totalitarianism. When you hear a politician warn that a certain policy will lead to a Soviet-style regime, they're tapping into a deep-seated fear rooted in the Cold War. The imagery is powerful. Bread lines, secret police, a complete loss of freedom. The problem is, this deliberately ignores the existence of democratic socialist countries. Nations like Denmark, Sweden, and Norway have robust social safety nets, universal healthcare, and free education, all funded by taxes. But they are also thriving democracies with free markets, private property, and strong individual liberties. They aren't authoritarian states. By painting all forms of social policy with the brush of totalitarianism, critics create a false choice. Either you have our current system, or you have a dictatorship. It's a classic scare tactic. Another major confusion is the equation of socialism with communism. This one is also a holdover from the Cold War. In classical Marxist theory, communism is the final stage of societal evolution where the state withers away and all property is communally owned. Socialism is seen as a transitional phase. But in practice, the terms got tangled up, especially with the rise of states like the Soviet Union. It called itself socialist but was really run by communists. Socialism and communism often get mixed up, sparking fears about state control and losing personal freedom. This ignores the vast differences between, say, a community-owned grocery co-op and a state-run command economy. The goal isn't to educate, but to associate any policy that expands the social safety net with a historical enemy. Then there's the more personal, cultural attack, conflating socialism with laziness and a handout mentality. The argument goes that if people get help from the government, they'll lose their motivation to work. It paints a picture of a society where half the population is working hard to support the other half, who are supposedly sitting on their couches doing nothing. This narrative taps into the powerful American ideal of self-reliance and the pull yourself up by your bootstraps ethos. It frames social programs not as a collective investment in the well-being of society, but as a reward for laziness. It suggests that people who need help, whether it's for healthcare, unemployment, or food assistance, are morally deficient. This is a deeply divisive and often cruel simplification. It ignores the reality that most people who use social programs are working, elderly, disabled, or children. It ignores that unforeseen circumstances like a medical emergency or a sudden layoff can happen to anyone. This ties directly into the next point. The idea that advocating for social programs means you just want free stuff. This is probably one of the most common and dismissive arguments you'll hear. When someone advocates for universal healthcare or tuition-free college, the response is often, "Oh, so you just want free stuff." This rhetoric is incredibly effective because it's simple, condescending, and it reframes the debate entirely. It turns a discussion about public policy and societal investment into a matter of personal greed. It implies that supporters of these policies aren't thinking about the collective good, but are just looking for a personal handout. The reality, of course, is that these things aren't free. They are paid for through taxes. The actual debate is about how we, as a society, should pool our resources to pay for essential services. Is healthcare a commodity to be bought and sold on the market? Or is it a public good that should be accessible to all, like the fire department? By framing it as wanting free stuff, opponents sidestep this fundamental question and instead attack the motives of the people asking it. So why is weaponizing the word socialism so incredibly effective? First and foremost, it relies on emotional appeal over rational debate. Fear, anger, and resentment are powerful motivators. A soundbite like "I want to turn us into Cuba" is far more potent and memorable than a detailed, nuanced discussion about the trade-offs of different healthcare financing models. It's a shortcut that bypasses critical thinking and goes straight for the gut. It creates a sense of imminent danger and an us versus them mentality. You don't have to understand the policy. You just have to be afraid of the scary label attached to it. Second, this strategy exploits a general lack of deep political and economic literacy. For many people, the political spectrum is a simple binary. Capitalism is good, socialism is bad. The complex realities of mixed economies, which is what virtually every developed nation has, including the United States, get lost. We have socialist-style programs right now that are incredibly popular. Social Security, Medicare, public libraries, the interstate highway system, the military itself. These are all funded by tax dollars for the collective good. But because many people aren't accustomed to thinking about these systems in detail, they are highly susceptible to oversimplified, fear-based messaging. The boogeyman of socialism can be applied to any new proposal without having to engage with its actual substance. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, labeling an idea as socialist is a powerful tool to shut down debate entirely. Once a policy is successfully branded as socialist, a significant portion of the population will dismiss it out of hand. There's no need to engage with the merits of the proposal, to look at the data from other countries, or to consider its potential benefits. The label itself becomes a conversation ender. It's a way to disqualify an idea without ever having to argue against it. This is incredibly damaging to a healthy democracy, which relies on the open exchange and consideration of different ideas. When we can't even discuss proposals to address major problems, like healthcare costs or student debt, without one side immediately crying, socialism, we can't make progress. So what's the takeaway here? The word socialism in American political discourse is often not used to describe an actual economic system. It's used as a rhetorical weapon, a boogeyman designed to short-circuit debate, stoke fear, and caricature any policy that involves collective action or the expansion of the social safety net. It lumps together democratic allies with totalitarian regimes, dismisses calls for social investment as wanting free stuff, and preys on a lack of detailed political knowledge. Recognizing this tactic is the first step to disarming it. The next time you hear a policy being dismissed with this one-word weapon, ask some questions. What does the policy actually do? Who does it help? How is it funded? Let's push past the lazy labels and have the real, substantive conversations we need to have. The health of our democracy depends on it. Thanks for watching. If you found this breakdown helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the language of politics. Let me know in the comments what other political terms you think are misused. See you next time.